welcome back. So now that you've cut this and you've transferred your design on, we are going to carve, okay? We're gonna try two types of carving and we're gonna use two different tools. So we're gonna use our small loop tool. This end works great for smoothing and blending and getting into little tight areas that we can't normally get into. And then we have the loop tool here. This is for scooping clay and removing clay out. And then we also have the pencil tool. This one's gonna be really useful for this as well. So we're gonna try two types. We're gonna use the pencil tool on the SHS, and then we're gonna use this loop tool on the Wolf because we're gonna carve out a little bit more on the Wolf. So I would suggest practicing with the H first because it's a straight pull. So you wanna hold your tool kind of low to the project and you're gonna pull towards yourself and see how I can make a nice line. So I'm gonna cut a little piece off of this so I can show you what I'm talking about in a second. So I'm holding it low and I'm creating a, like right here. You see how I'm only going a little bit in there, but it's wide, it's easy to see, and it's nice and smooth. There's not a lot of clay boogies. If I hold my tool up really tall and straight up and down, then I get all these thingies and I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time cleaning it. The other thing is if I go really deep, it makes a weak spot and it wants to start kind of like cracking and it'll start doing this whole thing and it'll wanna fall apart. So your goal is to make it a clear line, but not go too deep and not be super raggedy. So feel free to rotate your project. So like when I go for the H for this part, I wanna rotate my project. Now, if I just leave it like this, do you see how there's this weird goopy bit right here? We wanna get rid of that. So I can either re-pull over the top of it and kind of blend it in that way and go like that. That works. And then just use my finger and pat anything down that I need to pat down. Or I can try to scoop it out with my tool. That's fine too, okay? Now, all this extra blue, that is gonna burn out. Now, when we start with the curvy bit, like the S, I'm gonna rotate the clay while holding my tool really still. So I'm not really moving my tool that much. I'm mostly just moving the clay. And by doing that, I am making it easier for me to get a nice smooth curve. So if I bring this back out and I go like this, you can see the difference between when I rotated it. There's not a lot of cleanup and extra bits. And if I don't rotate it, there's a lot of cleanup I gotta do because these would get really sharp and cut you. And our goal, again, no blood. So you're gonna finish off the SHS with your pencil tool. And then we're gonna use the loop tool and we're gonna carve out the Wolf. Now we're gonna carve out a little bit extra on here. So we are gonna start by just kind of like removing the line. So just like before, I am not going super deep. I'm going about the same way that I did on my SHS. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of follow my line. I'm gonna turn it and twist it so that it's easy for me to get like this, and keep a little pile of your clay boogies so we can throw them away easily. Please don't give me a horrible death by, getting these on the floor. Okay, so now that I have like a little section, we are gonna be carving this whole bit out. So I'm just gonna take my loop tool and I'm gonna scoop a little bit of the clay out. Now I'm not going like really far into the clay. I'm just taking off a little layer so this is nicely even. Now, if you're like, oh man, this part is really small and my loop tool is too big for that part, just tilt your loop tool just a little bit to the side when you pull through and see how I can make it fit in that little smaller area. So if you have any little tight areas, it's just about changing the angle of your loop tool and angling it so it fits. Okay, let me do this last little, I'll do this last little bit, and then you're gonna have to kind of be real careful in those two, but we're just kind of scooping out just a little bit. Okay, now you can see there's a few clay boogies in here. Once it's a little bit stiffer, we'll just kind of like poke it down a little bit with our finger, but we don't want to mess up our edge right now. So we're just scooping it out, and I'll show you how to smooth that inner bit a little bit later. So you can see like I'm just cleaning out a little bit of area in here, right? So I'm not going real far into the clay because I don't want to make it too fragile and have it break, but I'm just cleaning out kind of a layer. All right, have at it. Thanks, everybody.